What's going on, everybody? It's AG here with week 5 of the college football season in the books. It's time to reveal my week 6 college football top 25. We have a little movement here, in particular at the top, with the Alabama win over Georgia. And then with the Ole Miss getting upset this week, that drops them a ton. So let's go ahead and get started here. Number 25, we've got Indiana. They're undefeated right now. I thought they would be kind of underrated this year, but I didn't think they would have this hot of a start and go undefeated into Big Ten play. They haven't really played anybody yet, but they had a solid win over Rutgers this week. So they're for sure in my top 25. At number 24, we've got Louisville. They played competitive with Notre Dame, but Notre Dame was just a little bit better than Louisville. So I think they're still in the thick of things when it comes to the ACC title race. But for now, they're going to drop because they just really haven't played anybody. Number 23, Rutgers. They continue to win. They continue to impress with a win over Washington. Really close one there. With the way their schedule plays out, do not be shocked if this team is close to undefeated by the end of the year. Number 22, Illinois. They were really pretty competitive with Penn State. I was kind of shocked with how much they played with them. I thought they would be able to play with Penn State just, from how both those teams play, but they actually were in it till the end. So Illinois stays at number 22. Would they have a couple of big wins so far this year? Number 21, Kansas State. They rebound nicely. They handle Oklahoma State, so they keep their hat in the Big 12 ring. Even though they have a loss to BYU, this team is still going to be definitely in the thick of things when it comes to the Big 12 championship. Number 20, Ole Miss. So they have not played anybody yet, but this is kind of the benefit of the doubt. They lost this week to Kentucky, which we'll actually talk about here in a little bit. You won't see Kentucky in a lot of people's top 25s, but I've been impressed with what I've seen so far from them. Ole Miss, though, at home, a loss to Kentucky. That's not a very good loss. And we'll see how they do. I mean, with the expansion and playoff, they could still make the playoff with only one loss, Number 19, Notre Dame. They have a win over Louisville. They're still struggling after that win, that loss to Northern Illinois. That's a terrible loss. But with how their schedule plays out, if they win out, they should be in good shape. They do play USC at the end of the year, so that'll be an interesting matchup. Number 18, Iowa. They were on bye this week. They've got Ohio State, I believe, next week, so that should be an entertaining game. They had that one loss to Iowa State so far. It was a pretty close one in a rivalry game, so they're going to hang around the top 25 probably all year. Number 17, Iowa State. They look good against Houston. Won, I think, 20-0. They are right there with BYU in the Big 12 race right now. Number 16, BYU. Speaking of them, they had that impressive win last week over Kansas State, so they move up a little bit here. As of right now, they're the leaders in the Big 12 with Utah dropping out. Number 15, Kentucky. So they do have 2 losses. This is the only team with 2 losses on here right now. But one of their losses, close loss to Georgia. Another loss was to South Carolina, which I'm pretty high on. They did get handled by South Carolina, but they had that win over Ole Miss and that close loss to Georgia. I think Kentucky's pretty good. They've got one of the top 5 defenses, I would say, in the country. That offense is just slacking right now. Number 14, Missouri. So they have not looked very good. This is probably one of the weaker undefeated teams so far, I think. But with how their schedule plays out, they realistically could still make the playoff. Number 13, Oregon. So they keep winning. We'll see once they get in the kind of thick of things in Big Ten play. How are they going to look? They haven't really played anybody yet. Their toughest win is probably Boise State so far, and that's not just too impressive in my opinion. So Oregon keeps moving up. They win again. Number 12, South Carolina. They won't be in a lot of people's top 25s, but they only have a loss to LSU, which was really close, and they beat Kentucky. So I think South Carolina is a top 25 team right now because they handled Kentucky. Number 11, LSU. Speaking of them, so this is kind of 9 through 12. They all barely beat each other. So LSU beat South Carolina, barely lost to USC. I haven't been super impressed with LSU so far this year, but they keep winning. They're a name brand, and in the SEC, LSU is always going to be pretty relevant. And so if they keep winning, they should be in good shape, I think, when it comes to playoff contention. Number 10, USC, similar situation. They barely beat LSU, barely lost to Michigan. So USC stays right here. We'll see once they, similar to Oregon, when they get into the thick of things in Big Ten play, how are they going to be able to compete with those usual schools, Iowa, Michigan, even, Rutgers, Indiana, Ohio State, Penn State. How are they going to be able to do against those teams? We'll see. Number 9, Michigan. So their offense is inept. Okay, they have no downfield passing game, but their defense is good enough. They kind of squeaked one out against Minnesota this week. Their defense alone is good enough to carry them to a top 10 finish. They did beat USC, so that's the reason they're above them. Number 8, Clemson. They had that only loss to Georgia. Other than that, though, they have been smooth sailing so far. I think this team, despite being behind Miami, is the favorite in the ACC right now for me. Number 7, Miami. Speaking of them, They squeaked one out against Virginia Tech. Was it a catch? Was it not a catch? I don't know. But Miami continues to win. They're still undefeated. They haven't really beaten anybody of note just yet, but Cam Ward still looks good. Number 6, Penn State. They had that win over Illinois, a close one. Tight game. Penn State continues to do what they need to do. Now, I think they're going to have to score some more points against, better competition when it comes to Ohio State and Oregon. But as of right now, they've done everything they need to. Number 5, Tennessee. They have looked good so far this year. They had that big, dominant win over Oklahoma. We'll see once they start playing some tougher competition. I think they play, it's either Alabama or Georgia coming up this next month. So we'll know a lot about them pretty quick. Number 4, Georgia. So I thought they were about to get shellacked in that first quarter when they were down like 30 to whatever, 7-3, whatever it was at halftime. I thought they were in for a world of hurt, but they ended up coming back, making it a close game. But still, I can't ignore that first half where Alabama just looked absolutely dominant over Georgia. But I still think I rely on Georgia more than everybody but Texas and Ohio State. So they stay at number 4. Number 3, Ohio State. So they move up a little bit for me here as far as moving above Georgia. But Ohio State has done what they need to do. They play, like I said, Iowa this week. So they should beat them, but that's at least going to give them a little competition defensively. Number 2, Texas. So they do what they need to do, but Alabama has a more impressive win right now, so they jump up. But Texas did manhandle Michigan, so don't forget that. And number 1, Alabama. In that first half, that first quarter in particular, Alabama looked like not only the most dominant team in the country, but looked like they were about to just run through Georgia. They were doing everything they wanted to. They were shutting down Georgia. Jalen Milroe couldn't be touched. I mean, they just absolutely dominated Georgia. And despite the score being close in the end, I'm impressed with that first half, but they're going to have to figure out some things in the second half, how to keep that momentum going. But this is my current top 25. Again, this is not the AP poll. This is the AG poll, so this is my ranking. But what do you think of it? Who would you move up? Who would you move down? Who would you add to the rankings? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.